Okay, everybody, what we're going to be talking about today is mental subtraction strategies. How do we think about doing subtraction in our head? So let's get right into it. We're going to start with 13 minus 9 and talk about some of the ways we could think about this problem in our head. 13 minus 9. So I think what a lot of people do, right, we think about subtraction as minus. We think about subtraction as take away. So in our head, we always think about counting backwards, right? So a lot of people might start at 13 and then say, okay, I'm going to count backwards 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, back 9, which gets me to 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Right, 13 minus 9 is equal to 4. But as we'll see, that's not necessarily the most efficient way or the fastest way to do it. And what I want to introduce to you all is that we can actually think about subtraction instead of as taking away. You could think of it as how many more do I need, right? So instead of starting at 13 and counting backwards 9, if we ask ourselves how many more, if we think about subtraction as counting up instead of counting back, we're really saying with 13 minus 9, okay, I'm here at 9. How many more do I need to count to get to 13? Okay, now I could count one at a time, but as I've been talking about, we want to get comfortable skip counting. I need one more to get to 10, and then I don't need to count 10, 11, 12, 13, right? I can just jump straight plus 3 to get from 10 to 13. How much did I do in total? I added 4, right? So we could say, okay, 13 minus 9, well, if I start at 9, I need 4 more to get to 13. So my answer is 4. Okay, let's look at another problem and see if we can use this same strategy, right? We're going to be counting up, asking how many more. So we have 60 minus 26, okay? And like I said, when we're doing mental subtraction, oftentimes it's easier to think, okay, I need to count up. So if I were to start at 26, how many more would I need to get to 60? Okay, as a side note, we could also write this way, right? We could think about it like this. 26 plus how much is going to equal 60. Okay, these are basically the same things. And so when we're asking how many more, we're looking for this value right here. So if we start at 26, what could we jump, right? Think about your 10 pairs. Let me put these up real quick. 1 plus 9, 2 and 8, 3 and 7, 4 and 6, and 5 and 5. So if we think about our 10 pairs here, how many more do I need to get to 30? Why am I picking 30? Because it's one of my 10s. Really nice, easy numbers to work with. Well, that's a 6. I need 4 more. So I jump 4 to get to 30. And now that I'm here, I can just jump 30 more in my head, plus 30. 30 plus 30 is 60, right? Just like 3 plus 3 is 6. So now if I look, how many more did I need to go in total? 34. Okay, so that is going to be our answer. 60 minus 26 is equal to 34. Okay, I know I've been encouraging you to think about subtraction in your head, like how many more, right? We're counting up instead of counting back. But I do want to acknowledge that sometimes it's the appropriate way to think about it to count backwards. So let's look at a situation where that would be the case. So if I have 76 minus 15, obviously I could count up. But if we think about these values on the number line, if 15 is here, 76 is over here, they're quite far away from each other, right? So it might, in this case, actually be easier to think about, okay, I start at 76, I'm going to count backwards 15. There's one other reason why I think that counting back here would be okay, and that's that the ones place here is a 6, and this is a 5, right? So I have enough here in the ones place to kind of still stay within 70. I can fairly easily do 76 minus 5 in my head, for instance, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract this 15 in parts. Let's think about it as a 10 and a 5, right? If we're breaking it apart by place value. So We'll start here at 76. Now, I'll show it both ways. We could go minus 5. 6 minus 5 is 1, so 71. And then from there, I have 10 more. And the beauty of subtracting or adding tens, right? The ones place doesn't change. And instead of 71, it is 61. So there's my answer, right? Again, the order that I subtract these in doesn't matter. I could start here at 76 and first do minus 10. Where would that get me to? Well, instead of 76, 66. Now from there, I still have 5 more. Gets me to 61. Okay, so there are a couple other strategies and just ways of some mental tricks that we can use to subtract numbers in our head more efficiently that I want to talk about. So this last example that we're going to look at, we're going to solve 2 different but related ways. It's 26 minus 9. So taking away 9 is not the easiest to do in our head, but taking away 10 is pretty easy to do, right? Let's just review that for a second. 25 minus 10 is 15, right? What would 97 minus 10 is 87, right? So because our whole number system is built on 10, it's pretty easy to take away 10. So I'm going to draw this on the number line, and let's visualize what's happening here. So I start at 26 and I need to go back 9. Okay, and the question is, where do I land? Well, what if I went back 10? If I go back 10, like we said with this pattern, 26 minus 10 is 16. So if I go back 10 to 16, I just have to go forward 1, right? Because I didn't go back, I wasn't supposed to go back to 10, I was supposed to go back 9. So in my head, I could think, all right, well, 26 minus 10 is 16, plus 1 more gets me to 17. Okay. There's one other way that we could, another different strategy we could use that's related to this one, which is we could just shift both numbers, right? If I take the same amount away from both of these numbers, or I add the same amount to both numbers, the answer won't change because the distance, or the difference between the 2 numbers is going to stay constant. So if we think about this, like again, the distance between the 2 numbers, here's 9 and here's 26. Well, what if I just shifted them each up 1? So now this is 10 and this is 27. Do we see that the distance between them didn't change, right? So my answer is not going to change either. But that's a much easier problem to think about in my head, again, because we're abusing the fact that our whole number system is built on the number 10. So it's really easy for me in my head to say, well, 27 minus 10 is 17. Okay? So those are some of the strategies that we can use. So to summarize, right, we can obviously count backwards. We can also count up. We can think, how many more do I need? Right? When we're doing that, we want to be skip counting, going to these friendly numbers, these multiples of 10. And then finally, we can actually adjust the problems a little bit. We can either overshoot, right, here, like we subtracted 10 and then added 1 in our head, or we could adjust the problem, right? We could tick both numbers up or both numbers down to just make the numbers easier to work with, right? Minus 10, much easier than minus 9. All right, thank you for your time. I'll see you in the next video.